Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys for your continued support. And when I tell you guys this is like the millionth time, I'm probably exaggerating. I am. This is like probably the third, fourth time me recording this video because something happened with my video. It would not save or upload. But nonetheless, whatever, here we are. And guys, thank you for being so patient with me. I know we missed some content last week, but we're back. I've just been really taking time to myself because there's things that I'm trying to work on. This week has been kind of mentally and emotionally exhausting, not due to work or anything, but kind of because I've been trying to approach situations a lot differently than I have in the past because I'm trying to work on certain character traits based on things that I've dealt with in the past or I've experienced in the past, traumas growing up. They have definitely left me in pieces mentally. And so I can show up as, this nice, bubbly person or whatever, but on the inside, there are things that I wish that I didn't have to deal with as a person, and I could just snap my finger and be like, "Oh, I have this character. This character has been removed. This character flaw has been removed." But whatever, it's life. Things don't work that way. No one's perfect, and we all have our issues and things that we have to work on. So here we are. So what I wanted to speak to you guys. See, I like to come to you guys when I'm experiencing things. That's usually when I like doing my videos. I don't like to just come to you guys. Of course, I study a lot of things. I observe life. And there's a lot of things that I could talk about. I told you guys last time I was going to do a video about men. But I didn't want to speak from a place where I didn't feel like I was comfortable yet on speaking on it. So I like to do it when I feel comfortable. And it'll come from a real place and it feels genuine. And not from a triggered place, because I don't like speaking from that. That's another thing that I'm trying to learn as well, is not speaking from a triggered place, because sometimes, that also plays to my defense mechanism that I have when I get defensive with people, or, and not saying it's always bad, because you always want to be able to defend yourself, but it's certain situations that I find myself defending myself in where it's like, you don't really have to speak on that. It's not that deep. What's another trait that I have? I'm telling y'all my business. But it's cool. I want everyone to learn from me. And, everybody's not bold or brave enough to speak to this. And for me, this is therapy, and this is me coming out of my shell and being vulnerable with you guys. Oh, that's it. That's another thing. I think for me, it's hard to be vulnerable with people and let my guard down because I'm ashamed of what they'll think, or either that they won't like the person that they see. Because most people, to me, in my mind, is that once they get to know you and the ugly side of you, because everyone has our ugly parts. And, once they get to know that part, they're not going to stick around. And, I felt like that about my ex. I just felt like he didn't want, I'm slick kind of getting emotional about it. But whatever. Yeah, so that, and, I deal with anxiety. And so that's another thing on top of it that I deal with. And so all of these things, and me having to reparent myself, I'm literally teaching myself again the things that I wasn't taught. Sometimes I don't walk in the room with the confidence that I need to have because I feel ashamed. And this was all due to my upbringing. Now, I'll start off with my story. Some of you may have heard it before, but I never go into detail a lot. I think some pieces may be new to you guys. But if those who've been listening, my mom passed when I was younger. Both of my parents were on drugs. And my mom didn't pass from drugs or anything. It was a freak accident where a car had ran into the barbershop, and she was sitting with her back towards the front of the building, and a car ran in. And her and my brother were in there at the time. And my brother, he could have passed, but he didn't. If the glass that was in his head went in a little further, he would have passed. But he didn't, thank God. But unfortunately, my mom did. And so that was traumatizing for me because I was with my dad that day, and they called him to identify the body. And I was with him looking around like, what's going on? I didn't know what was going on, but I do remember that day. That's what's crazy. I didn't know what was going on at that moment, but now I remember that day. Like very clearly and very vividly. I remember that day standing out in the parking lot and the police talking to my dad. And so, both of them on drugs. My dad, he took, okay, so my dad and my mom were together most of my life, but by the end of her life, they were separated. She was living with a guy friend. He was living at my grandmother's house. So they never divorced, but yeah, they did end up separating eventually. I don't know. I never asked. I think I did probably ask my dad, but I don't remember what he said or why they separated. But anyway, I'll probably ask him later on. I'll probably go and talk to him and ask him what it was because I'm nosy like that. But and it's my business too. You know, it's part of my healing process. We use that. But yeah, so when my mom passed, me and my 4 siblings moved into my grandmother's house where my dad was living at. And at that time, my uncle was staying there, um, who still stays there now. Yeah. And so my dad was in my life, but you know, my dad wasn't mentally there. And when he was there, it was like the times that he was present, I felt like I had to kind of defend myself and who I was against, uh, I guess him not being in a clear head space. I always was like, I felt like I had to, I don't know. After a while, after I felt like I wasn't heard, it was just like, and I started feeling ashamed, didn't want to open up. Doesn't that sound familiar, you guys? What I said I was working on? So it was just a lot. I didn't feel like I was opening up as much with people. I didn't want to get vulnerable because I felt like I was going to be taken advantage of, and I didn't feel valued. And not to say my dad didn't value me, because I know he loved me, but he just wasn't in the space to teach me certain things that I needed. And at the time, I'm young. I don't know that. So I'm just picking up on stuff. And so at that time, it was, I didn't know it was going to carry on. And also being in school, I wasn't the most guys. I wasn't a person you see today. Tall, skinny girl. I didn't dress the best. Everybody didn't want to be my friend. Now, a lot of people won't know this. It's a lot of people that are friends with me now on Facebook and Instagram. And some of them didn't really treat me as nice, in school. But because it was back then, I'm like, I take it for that situation. I'm like, we were kids and kids don't know no better. But as I got older, in high school, I still felt that way. I didn't feel like the prettiest girl, regardless if I'm yellow or not, I didn't feel like the prettiest girl in school who wore glasses, tall, skinny, wasn't the best dressed still in high school even. So all through school, and because it was stuff going on at home that didn't allow me the finances to be able to do those things. And anyway, we're kids. So to be honest, a lot of the things that they were raving over, though it was, if your parents were financially able, then that's cool. But I don't feel like I should have been, I should have felt like that. But hey, it is what it is. Like I said, we were young, and sometimes when you're young, you don't know no better either. You're just learning life. You're going about life and doing and following behind your friends until you get old enough to notice that, hey, what I was doing and my actions were wrong. So all those things, guys, it made me not become comfortable in being who I needed to be. To be successful in life. And I believe that a lot of those character traits, that I have, they definitely are a detriment to trying to be successful, because I want to go into situations being confident and strong and convicted in what I believe and what I feel. And I don't think I can do that if I'm still harping on the trauma. And if I haven't said it, we're going to be talking about trauma in this video. And right now I'm just telling my story, and to get you guys comfortable with, or get you guys an idea of the things I've been working on and why I've been emotionally and mentally drained. Yeah, so there's that. Like I said, I told you guys I was dealing with anxiety. And so all of those things bunched up in one, it's just a hot mess. So you look at me and be like, you ain't going through all that, girl. Girl, yes, I am. I'm going through all that. But the thing is, I wear it well. But see, I think that's the sad part. A lot of people wear it well, but actually haven't done the work. And that's why I'm here to tell you guys today to do the work. First point, stop using your trauma as an excuse. Now, using it as an excuse, what I mean by that is you are very self-aware of it and you use it in defense of yourself instead of actually doing the work. You don't want to hold yourself accountable. And so when another person is holding you accountable for it, then you become very defensive, and say, hey, my daddy wasn't there for me growing up, and da 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 da. And not saying that your situation isn't valid, but doing the work is the only way that you're going to be able to come out of that and be able to actually heal and not respond to situations the same way. Like for me, like why I said I was emotionally drained this week is because I've been challenging myself every day while I'm at work. Like when I'm faced with certain challenges that are usually against the character traits that I have, that I know that are an issue, I check myself. In my head, I'm checking myself like, okay, don't respond to that. Don't do this, don't do that. I'm constantly, like I said, I'm reparenting myself and teaching myself things that I was not taught as a child. And so I think that is a very important thing. Stop using your trauma as an excuse. Your emotions are valid. Your emotions are valid. I'm here to tell you that your emotions are valid. Don't feel bad for who you are, because that's what I find myself doing. I find myself beating myself up about the character flaws I have. And some things I might not even notice that I have, but I'm mostly aware of a lot of them. And because I'm aware of a lot of them, I know a lot of other people are very aware of their traits as well. They just don't care. And sometimes it annoys me that I'm too self-aware of them. And then after I do something, I start feeling bad, like, oh, I should have done that. But yeah, so this week I've been just pretty much, I'll check myself. So guys, when you do the work, you have to, that is a part of doing the work as well. Now, yes, therapy, spiritual growth, reading a book, watching self-help videos, all of those things, you do the work. That's doing the work. And I mean actually doing it and letting that new knowledge penetrate you, like I said in my breaking old habits video. But part of doing that work is actually challenging yourself is in actions. It's in actions. Change behavior is done through action. That's just like when you're dealing with another person. The only way that you're going to be able to tell that they actually are, once you hold them accountable, that they're changing is through action. So you have to put your best foot forward and make sure that you're teaching yourself a different way of doing things. I'm still learning this, guys. So I like to allow you guys to experience things with me as I'm on the journey, and also provide you with the advice that I have that worked for me in the process. And I've learned this, I've heard this, a couple people say this, you have to build callus on your brain. Almost like how you can on your hands when you're, maybe working out or whatever the case may be. Now, I don't know word for word how they worded it, but what I took from it is that you have to strengthen your brain. That part of your brain that's not allowing you to push past the ability to do something that you're trying to do. So building callus means you're constantly doing it, challenging yourself over and over and over again. That's the only way you can rebuild yourself past trauma. Because trauma happens when it happens. So you can't just pinpoint the trauma and then it vanishes once you pinpoint where it came from. Oh, it came from my mama, or it came from this experience. It's not going to happen like that. Once you pinpoint it, then at that point, it's about doing that work and building that strength up and challenging yourself to think outside of the box of what you used to doing. And yes, while some traumas, some traumas are, everyone's situation is different. And it's going to take longer. And especially if you've had certain traits for such and such years, or even if it's maybe not even just the flaws, just things that you maybe, there's some people who are very giving people. And when they say toxic traits about yourself, and not to say what you're doing is toxic, but it's toxic to yourself. And it could be toxic to others because it enables them. So that could also be a trait that you have, or just many different things. I can't touch on everything, but you guys get what I'm saying. The only way to heal from trauma is to challenge yourself to break, whatever it is that become self-aware of what that is, and then challenge what that is. So go against it. So if you are a person who always finds yourself just running away from situation, is not challenging yourself, face the situation instead, because of something that you did. Because some people run away from things because of stuff they dealt with in the past, because it's like they always felt like they had to fight. And maybe now, they just want to run from everything. And maybe it was a habit that they had, that they just like to run because they don't like to be confronted or confrontation. Maybe challenge yourself to confront those things, whatever it is. Also, my next point, use your trauma for good. Use your story. Use your story. I'm definitely going to use mine. And sometimes it's a part of your purpose. Now, not to say you have to do what I'm doing, but there's many other things you can do that you can learn from. If you grew up poor and that was traumatic to you, and you feel like you want to start helping people with their finances, because now you done gotten to a place where you went to school and you did all the work you need to do, and now you're stable and you're living good, and you're like, hey, I think I can benefit from this. Yes, go ahead and do what you need to do to benefit. Because I watch this YouTuber named Funky Geneva, and sometimes he can be a little problematic sometimes, but I think he's funny. And he always says, pay me for my pain. You're going to pay me for my pain. I mean, hey, I would rather somebody pay me for my pain than continue working for somebody for years and years and years and causing me pain, and I'm not benefiting from it. And especially in the African American community, because I feel like we were dealt a short hand, like a bad hand, and both short and bad. So, and I'm not separating. I don't want to sound divisive in this video, because I feel like this message is for everybody. Everyone deals with trauma regardless of what race you are, but I am a Black woman at the end of the day, and I still need to speak to my people. I might be a lighter skinned version, but when I walk out into the world, they still see me as Black. Okay. So, definitely us, I notice, that we are in this world where we have to constantly grind. We can't take a break to heal from our trauma and our pain, because we have to prove something. We have to put 100 times more effort into something than the others, and it just is what it is. I'm sorry for anyone who feels offended by that, but it is what it is. So I'm just going to speak from my truth. It is what it is. But yeah, so healing from your trauma, because this is my last point, is just heal. Do the work. And I don't mean heal as in like I'm telling you need to heal. No, because a lot of people, like I said, a lot of us we have a lot to prove, so we're too busy getting our lives together. Some of us can't afford therapy and all these different things to be able to heal. But I'm saying do something. Even if you can't afford therapy, journal, do something. Because for me, when I journal, I start to realize things. Pen and paper is cheap. So if you're watching this video, you can afford some pen and paper. Because someone who's dirt poor doesn't have the access to YouTube. So just my assumption. Maybe I sound ignorant saying that, but I'm just assuming. So yes, do the work. Read a Bible, read a book, go to the library and read a book if you can't afford it, because there's always different avenues and ways that you can heal. Now, I don't like to always just, force God on everybody, because, and I just had to speak to a situation yesterday. One of the guys I watch on YouTube, I'm learning to listen to people. That's another thing I'm working on, listening to people from a different perspective without getting triggered and defensive, because I don't want to speak from a triggered place, but I try to welcome people in now and challenge myself on people's thoughts. It's still kind of hard for me sometimes, I ain't gonna lie. But yeah, I had to speak, but me, I'm a Christian. Spiritual growth is a big thing for me. And so, I seen what he had said in a video about, Christians having to suffer to get closer to God. I've never heard of that. But, I can understand if you have a different perspective of Christianity, but whatever you believe in and whatever you believe in, you do you. But right now I'm going to speak to the Christians just like I spoke to my Black people. I'm going to speak to my Christians. And most people, if you're watching me and you're a consistent watcher by now, you probably are a Christian. Or maybe not. Maybe you just, like my messages and you just take what you can from it. But for me, it was spiritual growth, getting closer to God. I was fasting. After my last breakup, I had to, because I realized there were certain things I brought in that relationship that were toxic. Regardless of how I felt about him, I had to heal from my past trauma, and I'm still doing that. And so I decided not to date anyone. I ain't going on no dates. I'm not going to put myself in a situation where I feel like I cannot do the work on myself and focus on myself. And until I do that, I'm not going to be helpful to anyone. So with all that being said, guys, I just wanted to come on here and just make sure you guys are still being your best self. I gotta give you guys a name to my people who watch me. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it out. But guys, you can always book me. I'm a life coach. You can book me on my mentor.life / Rochelle Demetrius. And also I have a women's seminar coming up that I've been invited to speak. Me and another life coach, well, two other life coaches, along with the host, Crystal. And so we're going to be giving away cash prizes, and we're also going to be giving away sessions, like life coaching sessions. So, and also, of course, we're going to be dropping gems to you guys, providing you guys with our story, giving advice on women empowerment, finding the power in yourself as a woman, finding your self-worth. And I think this is going to be very important. We're going to open up the space for you guys to ask questions, to speak. This is going to be on April 3rd. And what I'm going to do is drop the link in the description box so that you guys can go ahead and register. It is free 99, guys. You do not have to pay to participate. So I just think you guys would really, really enjoy it. Again, it's going to be on April 3rd. We don't have that long to go. This is my very first speaking engagement. I've never spoken anywhere before. And of course, I've just became a life coach. But this, for me, even though it's not in person, is very exciting because I'm able to give you guys something that means so much to me and do it on a platform where there's I think we have like 30 plus women. And even though I do my life coaching sessions and I do these videos, in this moment, I'll be interacting with you guys, and you guys get to hear what I have to say. And the other coaches, I only know one of them. I went to school with her. She's amazing. Crystal, she's an amazing person as well. And I think I'm so happy that she put this together. But anyway, I'm getting long-winded. Guys, just please register. It's going to be an amazing event. Of course, it's going to be via Zoom, but you're still going to get what you need out of this. So I advise all of you to go register. So I'm going to put the description and the link down below. And I hope you guys got something out of this video. And until next time, be blessed.